What's going on, YouTube? This is Screen Banter. I'm Jeff. This is Brian, and this is Joel. We just got back from Kingsman, and we're here to give you our thoughts on it. So, if you haven't seen the preview, the basic synopsis is that there's a secret spy organization that apparently operates out of the United Kingdom that is free of all government controls, and so they pretty much take care of justice the way they see fit. What do you guys think about it?
All right, this movie was interesting. It's obviously it's a little comic booky, as we'll talk about going through the review. It's interesting, it's kind of plays off of a James Bond sort of concept, except for this is like an organization that's like a level higher than like what James Bond would be, right? And as you're saying, they're not guided by any one country. It's an organization that kind of is at the global level, I guess you would say. It's an interesting movie. The film quality of it kind of did have a Disney sort of look to the film on some level. But what's interesting is that the movie also takes you by surprise a little bit by some of the action scenes. They're a little bit more, I don't want to say Tarantino-ish, but a little bit more.
Not at all.
Well, not at all.
Not at all.
Well, not at all. Only
There's a
because it
rumor
doesn't
about
have,
that, but that's not true.
Well, I didn't read the rumor about that, and that's when I walked away with it. So that's my
Because Samuel L.
impression.
Jackson was in the movie. That's why.
That's
Right.
as close to Pulp Fiction as it
As it
comes.
gets,
Is Samuel Jackson.
Absolutely.
That is not even nearly as close. That's like an insult to Samuel L. Jackson or to Pulp Fiction, because I will say the most ridiculous part of this movie was Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh my God, which is so funny because he was the only good part of this movie. This was my favorite Samuel L. Jackson role. Actually, the only one I really loved.
Was it really?
It was.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us about it?
You're going to make fun of people with lisps? That was what was funny about it.
It was funny to a point.
Every
but
single time he came on screen, everyone in the audience laughed. Oh, as you go off that's how you gauge everything, is what the 17-year-olds behind us thought of the movie. They all laughed every time he came on screen.
Well, he was the comic relief, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But I mean, the rest of the movie wasn't that serious to begin with.
No.
So I mean, there were plenty of funny parts. It's just that his parts happened to be a little bit funnier than.
But it was a little formulaic because they did the whole scene where kind of the base of this movie is where you have Colin Firth, who is one of the Kingsmen, and he basically, and this organization does is they recruit younger guys and younger people to replace Kingsmen who die off in the film, or in the history rather. And so Colin Firth meets this young guy. He's a very sort of urban kid from London, I'm assuming it was, and he has a connection with them. Although here's the one funny thing. As I said, we were watching the movie, is he has this Pulp Fiction scene with this young guy that has to deal with his father. And if you see the movie, you know what I mean, because it reminded me of that scene where Christopher Walken was sitting there talking to Bruce Willis as a child about this watch. And the only thing I kept thinking in my head was, and I kept this thing up my ass for 7 years. and so that was kind of a funny play on it. This movie, I don't think took itself that seriously, which is good. The hard part is it was a comic book, but you can't really tell necessarily that it is comic bookish because they didn't necessarily have bushes. They didn't have necessarily superheroes, but they had the James Bond kind of fun toys. I liked the kid. I thought he was good. Obviously being in America, it's not always easy to understand some accents from around the world, and these guys had a problem with that.
He had like a ghetto British accent I've never heard.
No, I didn't have a problem with it. I just said that, a little bit of it was difficult to understand. But I mean, if you watch normal British movies, I mean, it gets a lot.
The one
more.
thing I didn't like about his accent is he kept saying "fuck" like it was one of those movies where they say it to get a reaction, but they say it every other word. I didn't think it was necessary the way he was using it.
He's a 18, 19-year-old kid. I mean, isn't that pretty
Right,
much how kids talk these days?
I don't know if that makes it entertaining to watch. It was just, but anyway, before we get into it, I just want to give my synopsis.
All right, go ahead.
Of the thing. First of all, when I first saw the ad for this movie or the trailer, I thought it was going to be an old, like crinkly old man running around in a suit, beating people up with an umbrella. And then
Are you calling Colin Firth the crinkly old man?
He looked like.
I mean, he's getting aged.
He looked like.
God,
not according to the movie. 17 years goes by and he's the exact same person. They didn't even try.
That guy didn't have a wrinkle in this movie.
They didn't even try and give him white hair. That's called plastic surgery.
How old is Colin Firth?
He's probably
pushing his 60s.
Hold on, let me finish. I'm just saying that it was a guy in a double-breasted suit, which went out of style like, 15 years ago, beating people up with an umbrella, and if you're not like totally, oh yeah, about that, then you're probably not going to be, oh yeah, about this movie, because they really doubled down on that. But a couple days ago, and the only one reason why I even agreed to see this movie is I read that this movie was like Pulp Fiction and James Bond mixed together, and it was the most violent movie you've ever seen. So I'm like, I'm intrigued. So I went to go see it thinking that. But you know what? It was exactly what I thought it was going to be, with a few scenes that were over the top funny. So it was one of those really bad movies to me that had a few good scenes, one of them being Samuel L. Jackson. The church scene was kind of cool, and that's the scene they're talking about with violence, which was the one scene of the movie with violence in it.
No, it wasn't. There were plenty of scenes.
Oh, when the heads blew up and well, yeah, but all right.
Well, no, that wasn't.
No,
violent.
no spoilers, but yeah. But anyway,
we don't know whose head
all
blew
I'm
up.
saying is this one's definitely some mixed reactions. I don't know where Jeff's at with it, but I've heard mostly negative. Brian loves it, and I think it was not worth going to see.
All right, let me add the qualifier. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like in the tops of movie. Like, I love it passionately. It was just a fun movie. You know, I thought Colin
Well, that's
Firth,
what I would hope.
Colin Firth did good.
I thought it was going to be a spoof on James Bond. It was going to be like really funny humor, and I didn't get that gut.
You
Colin
didn't get
Firth,
that?
who
You
by
didn't get
the
the
way,
scene
is
when
apparently
Samuel-
54.
What?
So he's not a crinkly old man. 54 years old.
That's kind of old, dude. I get shit about being 40, for Christ's sakes.
Well,
Yeah. So I'm not
you
saying
make it
old
look
people
bad.
in the audience, you're cool, but to be a special agent beating the shit out of people, I would think you should at least. I'm not even saying you have to. I'm just saying he had that. Like, his tie was so tight, it made you feel uncomfortable kind of a look. And I just didn't like it.
Well, the whole point of it was that they were supposed to be, going back to a time when guys dressed more.
They still dress like that. This one
becomingly.
doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, but
James
not on a
Bond
regular basis.
today dresses in
Because
a
they're supposed
These
to
guys
have-
outdressed James Bond, though.
No,
I mean, they weren't in tuxes, but they were in nice suits.
James Bond wears $1,000 suits. This guy was wearing a nerdy.
Yeah,
tie.
but their suits are so much more like.
And it's bulletproof. I mean, the things like that drive me nuts.
Okay,
like
well, yeah.
no basis behind it whatsoever.
However,
bulletproof. Suit.
Bulletproof, yes, but they never used that.
They
Did you
did.
realize-
Well, they did because they had the
At the
kid
end, he was
running.
blocking
Yeah.
the freaking
Okay,
knives with
well,
it. That's not a spoiler. He's blocking knives with his suit arm.
When they have him running down a hall with a fucking squad of guards shooting
never
at him
shoot-
from behind.
No, they didn't
no,
make
they
that
never
obvious
didn't
that
make
it
it
was a suit.
obvious.
Right, they
but-
didn't make a point of the fact that he was getting shot in the back, and that's how he was able to outlast them.
And he held the gun in front of his face. They showed that one scene I did notice.
Now, the only one thing I would have liked to have seen is that it's one of those kind of growth kind of movies, right? Where he grows into realizing he wants to be a different person. And I like when movies do the training sequence and stuff.
They never showed him learn how to fight, but all of a sudden
didn't.
he just ended up
Right,
learning
well,
how
and
to
that's the
fight.
thing. It's like when you see him in the trailer and he goes for the upside down, gunshot flipping over guys. I mean, clearly it's just taking it over the top, and that's fine to be a little fun with it. But through their training sequence, it's not like they learned how to, like, they didn't do any of how to actually fight.
Which would have been good and
To be
entertaining.
fair, there was like a montage little thing where it showed Colin Firth growing a beard and getting longer hair, and so it implied that,
That I could've done without.
that there might have been
Yeah, but he
months.
shaved underneath.
Yeah.
That's the
So,
dumb
like,
part.
somebody
He's
kept
got
him
this
very
beard,
well
but it's
trimmed.
all trimmed
He looked
underneath.
like who's the guy from the Bee Gees?
That's what I'm talking
No,
about. He
no.
looks like one of the Beatles.
But okay, so my impression is overall, I liked the movie. It was cartoony in some spots. It was over the top in some spots, and suspension of disbelief only gets you so far. And at points, I said, "What?"
Well, it had an $81 million budget, which I actually thought it had a bigger budget than that because of some of the scenes, like the opening credits were cool. And I will say the music in this movie was great. And I never even noticed music, but the music was good in this movie.
But I thought it was cool. The overall idea, the plot of the movie, I thought was cool. The bad guy's plan to
Actually,
do whatever he did, it made sense a little bit. It dealt with technology, which was
it was the exact same plot
which was
as
cool.
Civil War, or not Civil War, the Captain America movie, which it was the exact same villainous plot, but
I felt like it wasn't the villainous plan that I would have expected from a movie like this, but it was still a little interesting, and overall I liked it.
Like the Obama scenes and stuff were funny. There were some really funny scenes, but
there were some funny scenes. It was a great scene where they do one of those. They say what you are thinking as you're kind of sitting there, and that's a scene right outside the church. Okay.
Yeah, no, that was good.
And that was a great one.
That's some serious code, but
you're after the
yeah. I don't want to give the joke away because I was
the irony of movies,
right?
And stuff.
Right,
that was good.
Yeah, it was a little self-aware there.
Well, that's where they were talking about, because they said the movie was self-aware, and that was that one or the two scenes of the movie that did that. That was fun.
Right. No, there were more scenes than that, Joel. You just don't appreciate it.
Oh my god.
The only thing I'll say is that it's a fun movie. It's it's what you go to the movies. You don't have to really necessarily think too hard about it. It's not necessarily a complex sort of movie theme, but it's a fun movie. It was fun to watch. I would have liked to have seen a little. I don't know. Some of the scenes of how they get places and what they do is a little too convenient. I would have liked to seen a little bit more in there.
I think it should have been more slapstick based upon where they were going with it. They didn't go enough slapstick.
Well, but here's the problem, right? So this obviously is positioning itself to become a franchise for sequels.
I don't see that at all.
Yeah, I don't see that either.
This is gonna bomb, dude. Mark my words, and you can absolutely mark my words.
That kid, I don't know about that kid.
I will say 6 months from now, you will not remember this movie. I've said it.
Well, tell me a movie you do remember.
It's on video. I'm just saying. World War Z. We want to get into that conversation. I'm just saying this isn't a movie you're going to remember. It's one of those forgettable movies.
This guy Taron Egerton, I don't know how he's going to turn out. He's a 25-year-old.
He can't speak to the point where you can understand.
26-year-old kid.
Well,
he is British. A lot of British stars.
You think he's going to be big?
Do I think he's going to be big? I don't know. I mean, there's time to tell. But I'm more focused on does this have what it needs to go to a franchise level where you have
money where your mouth is on the franchise and as him as an actor, $5.
Well, British stars get into a niche. British stars get into a niche role, as proven by what's his name? That's from the James Bond movies.
You can't say.
See, here's the thing: they do one of those scenes,
the Prestige.
But they do one of those scenes at the end.
Come on.
Okay, this can absolutely become a sequel kind of a movie.
No, it cannot.
I would have liked to have seen. This I think would have been good if it was done by. Really, you're talking Batman. Kind of reboot, sort of grittiness would have been fun for it. Some other choice directors would have been pretty good for this thing.
Oh my God.
Michael Caine was who I was trying to think of, though.
What are you saying about it?
He's like a lot of British actors. He just kind of falls into this niche role where he shows up in Hollywood movies every once in a while. He's normally, he's an old guy, so he's always like the old wizened mentor kind of guy, like he is in Batman and Inception and stuff like that. This kid could very well fall into that category, and those guys go on to make plenty of movies that we don't see because they're not advertised here that are big in the UK.
Right.
It's very, very well possible that he
we're
will.
Actually debating on whether he's going to be popular in the UK. I'm sure he will.
I'm just saying that if he makes those movies in the UK, you may not see him for a while, and then he may pop up in another big movie.
All right, look. Here's the thing. The movie is reviewing well. Okay, people are obviously starting to like it, but we are early in the movie in the review.
Look at this.
Okay, I think it's on IMDb. I'm seeing 8.2. It's not going to be the end all to be all movies, but definitely a fun watch. I think it's definitely worth seeing in the theater.
I will throw in that it's my favorite Mark Hamill movie since Star Wars.
That was great. That was the one surprise. It's not necessarily a spoiler.
Believe how bad he looks.
Yes, you will, because he wasn't very attractive in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But it was good to see him. So, all right, so let's come down to it.
Does he have a fat suit on? Because look, he looks like he's skinny, right?
No, that's an old picture of him.
That looked like a current picture. Did you see it?
No, he didn't have a fat suit on.
He's not blow up. We'll show you this later.
He's old. He's put on weight.
That doesn't
That's
look
what
bad
happens.
Right.
That's not current, dude.
That doesn't look old. Look, he's got age spots. Anyway, listen. All
So
I'm saying about
tablet.
this movie too is that
I would put this movie on. It's a
Look
fair
at the
call.
picture of Michael Caine and Colin Firth. Those are clearly not current pictures.
it's true. But
I would say this.
oh
movie
no, that's
earns
what
a
I'm gonna
rank.
say. Hold on one second. I was just gonna say this one thing. They tried to make the Kingsman so cool and this, that, and the other thing that everybody was trying to like be a Kingsman, like this word we've never heard of in our entire lives.
They should
and
have
they
played
didn't
more off of
sell
that.
it.
They
They
should-
didn't sell it. I could care less about being a Kingsman.
You know what it was? It was Men in Black. That's what the entire first half of the movie reminded me of. This guy, you know, somebody retires, or in this case, gets killed and has to be replaced. They go find a young kid that nobody has faith in because he's off the streets or whatever. This old guy that's in the organization already mentors him and raises him up, and eventually he goes on to save the world. I mean, that's pretty much it. Was Men in Black. Just
or not.
a different
We
version.
don't know whether he does that or not. We don't do spoilers. But
Well, they didn't make a movie about the end of the world.
well,
so.
the fact that he was so keen, well, I can't even say it. But I'm just saying, like, there were certain things that were so obvious that everybody in the department should have seen it, and they didn't. Come on.
Well, I would say if this movie, I think, was directed a little bit better, let's move along. All right, so let's wrap this up to say, I will say, my point of view is definitely worth going to see at a movie. It's in a movie theater. It's fun. I think if it had a different director, I think it could have been a little bit stronger of a movie. To which I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel on it. I think they could have some fun with it. I like the actor. I thought the kid was good. Colin Firth's good. I can't get enough of Michael Caine. Of course, he may not be in the sequel, but it was worthwhile. I said may.
All I'm saying is this: have you seen the trailer to this movie? You've seen the fucking movie because it's exactly what you saw in the trailer. In fact, the trailer is seen in the movie 4 or 5 times because they repeat it over and over and over again. But what I'll say about this movie is if you can stand a bad movie with a couple really cool, funny scenes, then go see this movie.
So overall, I liked it. I would say go see it. I also would advise don't rush out of the movie right when the credits start. A lot of people did when we went to see it.
And they got to see the trailer again.
There is a little piece at the end. You may or may not like it. You may or may not appreciate it, but it's there. So there is something for
That's
you.
big of him because he
after the
didn't like
credits
it.
start. Well, we'll leave that to you guys to decide. But let us know what you think. Leave a comment. Post a
Like, share, subscribe. And we'll see you next time.